Hello students, today we are going to study the process of perception. Actually perception concept and features we have learnt it in earlier lecture, and perception is having three components basically. So before learning the process, let me tell you which are those three components. They are perpetual inputs, processing of inputs, and perpetual outputs. So today we are going to see that how this actual process of perception, understanding of situation, your opinion, how it is created. So let us begin with it. So the process of perception consists of 6 stages, as you can see. The first one is receiving data and information. So when a person come across any kind of situation, that person is called as a perceiver, and he undertakes the process of perception. Okay, so whenever you look at certain event or a situation, you try to collect information about that situation, that what might have happened, right? So in last lecture also I told you that suppose you saw a mob standing in front of the at the side of the road, you try to acquire information about what might have happened, why these people have gathered over there, isn't it? So you try to collect information about it. So a situation may be anything, I mean it may consist of objects, it may have events, people. So all these things, objects, events, and people together, they are called as perpetual inputs, because they are going to, you are going to process those inputs, and then you will get the information, or you will get the output. Okay, so they are termed as perceptual inputs. Okay, then these inputs are received and collected by the perceiver. Okay, and that means, in simple language, a perceiver or a person, whenever you come across any kind of a situation, you start receiving data and information about that particular event, and your sensory organs, that is your all your six sensory organs, seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, and tasting, these are six sensory organs, right? So of human beings, so they play very important role in receiving the objects. Okay, so whatever information you see through your eyes, whatever you hear from your through your ears, right? So whatever information you collect from the resources, you try to receive data about that particular situation. Okay, so this received data is a stimulus for the perceiver, and this is the end of the first stage, where you start, you just collect the data and write information at this first stage. Then at the second stage, what is done, it is selecting data. So under this second stage, the received data and information is filtered. Okay, filtered in which respect, you try to find out which are the things which are relevant, which data is more relevant to this particular situation. Only that data is being collected, and rest of the data is being it remains unutilized. Okay, so generally what happened, a perceiver select those things from the received information which are related to that particular field, particular situation, particular event, or particular people. Okay, so for this he makes use of internal factors and external factors. Okay, so internal factors are related to his own individual perception, that means his beliefs, his understanding, his mental ability, right? And external factors are related to the things of situation. Okay, so that way the data is being segregated, we can call it as only the data which is useful for that particular situation, for which you are trying to understand what is that situation all about, try to create your opinion about that situation, only that much data is being selected at this stage. Because at the first stage, whenever you are undertaking receiving data and information process is going on, at that time there are chances that much of the unnecessary data may be collected by you. So only in this second stage you are selecting the data which is relevant or which is necessary for your purpose, only that much data is being collected or selected, you can say. At the third stage, organizing data, this is the stage where you are organizing, or you are giving some meaning to the data collected by you, right? So whatever data you have selected which you think is relevant for that situation, you try to organize it in your own manner, you try to find out the meaning as per your way of thinking, okay, and to find some form of sense out of it. Okay, so you are getting that is called as perceptual organization. Okay, that means you are giving it a meaning. Okay, so this is important stage of interpretation of data, which depends upon the data which you have selected and organized. Okay, then next stage is again interpreting data. Whatever data you have organized, you are trying to find out a meaning about that data. This is the further stage where it is called as a creative stage, where actual perception takes place. Whatever information is collected is processed into meaningful data, and it is interpreted in your own way. You analyze it, you find out the meaning out of it. Okay, and you get the meaning at this stage. Okay, so this stage depends upon how the perceiver is interpreting the data, his internal factor, his personality, his traits, the situation, and the features of stimuli. These are the factors which helps in interpretation of data under the perception process. Okay, and then the next stage is checking of interpretation. So perceiver, before reacting, he verifies whether the interpretation of data is right or wrong, whether whatever meaning he has acquired from the data collected by him, whether it is right or wrong. Before expressing himself, he will first find out whether it is right or wrong. So because many a times it may happen that things are different and we understand it in a different manner, so we may commit a mistake in interpreting the data. Okay, so at any stage of perception, it may happen that the wrong data is collected, or our understanding is different, isn't it? So self inspection, introspection is very essential here, to verify the reception, the selection of information, organization of data on which the interpretation is made. So whether your interpretation is right or wrong, you will have to counter check it, and then only you can express your opinion. Okay, or you can create your own opinion. So this checking of interpretation can be done by an individual by discussing with others. Sometimes we discuss the things with others, with friends, relatives, family members, and we narrate them that this was the situation, and this is my perception out of this situation. It may be wrong, but we try to discuss it with other person. The other person tries to understand us, and then he or she will tell you his opinion about that. So it might happen that our perception is wrong, and that another person is trying to correct you, isn't it? So that time we realize, I made a mistake in interpreting the data, right? So it may happen at any stage of perception. It may happen that the data was wrong, or you misunderstood it, isn't it? So you have to find it out. You have to counter check that whether the interpretation of data is right or wrong. And then the last stage comes, is that reacting on your interpretation. At the fifth stage, when you realize that your interpretation is right, then only you can further proceed for reaction on interpretation. Okay, now this person's action depends upon the interpretation of perception. Okay, what you have understood and what opinion you have created, upon that your reaction is dependent. Okay, so interpretation leads to perceptual outputs. In the beginning itself, we saw there are three components in the process of perception: perceptual inputs, processing of inputs, and perceptual outputs. Okay, so first two stages we saw, and this is the last stage where you are reacting on your interpretation. This is called as perceptual output. Okay, so this output may be in the form of attitude, views, beliefs, opinion about the stimuli, which may be positive or negative. Okay, so now whenever you are having a favorable, positive interpretation, of course it will lead to positive action. When it is unfavorable, unfavorable interpretation has taken place, then definitely you will behave in a negative manner. Okay, so these are the things in the process of perception. Also, this process of perception depends upon the factors of affecting the perception are internal factors and external factors. Now, internal factors means the perception process is a psychological process mostly, and it depends upon the internal factors like your self concept, your beliefs, your expectations, your inner needs, your personal motives, attitude, personality, your experience, your current psychological state, then your personal qualities, your status of perceiver. These are the internal factors which help the process of perception. And external factors are those factors which are external aspects, objects, which include the size of the object, the situation, the repetition of stimuli, then the familiarity of object, motion of object, attribute of the object, appearance of the object, situational settings. These play an influential role in the process of perception. Okay, so influence depends upon how the perceiver he views these factors, both internal as well as external factors. Okay, so these two factors play a very important role in whatever process of perception which we saw, which was of 6 steps. Okay, so with the help of these factors only this process of perception is being taken place. Okay, so with this we'll end with today's lecture. Thank you.